Today, we're talking about the most effective science-backed habit we've ever come across for hardwiring happiness directly into your brain. Life is beautiful.
We just interviewed a neuropsychologist named Rick Hansen on the podcast.
He is a legend in the happiness landscape.
And that interview will be coming out this Saturday. And he was one of those guys, just another one of those guys that you meet that is just so smart that it feels like they are from a different planet. Like the way he could just talk about the brain and the different parts of the brain, and he just the vocabulary this guy had was on another level when it came to the parts of the brain and the limbic system and this and that. I was like, okay, you know a lot about the brain.
Yeah.
But today's episode is us reviewing that podcast episode that you will listen to on Saturday and talking about the single biggest, most actionable takeaway that we took from the interview. So doing our best to kind of simplify it down to one practical takeaway.
Yeah.
But we still recommend you go and listen to the full thing on Saturday because it was a great conversation and there's so much more value in it. But yeah, today we're going to get into the one thing. So what is it, Nick? What is the one thing?
So Rick calls it taking in the good, which is basically just a simple mindfulness practice where you go through your daily life, but instead of rushing past the good moments that happen to you, you take a few extra seconds, 10 seconds really, to soak them in and really sit with them.
Yeah.
That's it. Taking in the good.
I know. When I first heard this, I was like, okay, but if he's a genius, then why is this thing so simple? But then he explains the science behind why the method is so simple. Well, first of all, I also always love simple things because you can actually use them.
Yeah.
And so
explain taking in the good scientifically, though. What's happening?
So scientifically, we all have the negativity bias, which we've talked about on this podcast a bunch before. But if you've never heard of it, basically our brains have evolved to scan the world for threats, because when we were cavemen or hunters and gatherers, we had to be constantly scanning our environment for the predators that were around us. And so our brain weighs negative events way more heavily than it does positive events.
Yeah.
And in this modern world, we don't really have those threats. So we treat an email like it's a tiger in the wild. And we still have this ancient negativity bias that's affecting us and making us miserable. So he basically says we need to rewire that negativity bias through repeated software tinkering. So that was another great analogy he used. He said there's software and then there's hardware. Mm-hmm. And if you do the software stuff, then you can change the hardware, meaning you can physically change your brain. Like you will actually see physical differences in your brain structure if you do the repeated thought exercises, the software skills. And so taking in the good, what happens in your brain is the neurons that are firing, when you hold them for 10 seconds, when you hold that good moment for 10 seconds, it allows the neural connections to really deepen and form together. And he likes to say neurons that fire together, wire together. So by holding that moment for longer and soaking in that good, you are physically allowing the neurons to form stronger bonds with one another so that you're forming a stronger neural pathway for positivity and weakening the neural pathways for negativity.
Yeah.
So I do a good job there.
You did a great
I just went
job.
on a rant and just kind of
did a really great job. And another analogy he gives that I really, really love is basically he says that our brains are Velcro for bad memories and Teflon for good ones.
Yep.
Right. So like you talked about, we have this very old brain and we're looking for these threats because that's what's keeping us alive. That's why the negative ones are programmed into us so naturally.
Right.
The good ones are like Teflon, so we need to work really hard. So these extra 10 seconds we put into this turns the Teflon into Velcro.
And if you think about
it gets them to stick.
If you think about it, let's say you get complimented, right? That can be Teflon. But if someone insults you, that sticks.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you get
That's
that
a
insult,
great example.
you're thinking about it all day. You're ruminating over that insult all day, every day. That's the negativity.
But now
bias.
Sticking with that example, what we're saying is, so now someone compliments you, right? Instead of just saying, oh, thank you so much, right? After you say thank you and you leave and you walk past them, spend 10 more seconds thinking about how amazing that feels to have that good compliment. And now that
the visual I like is imagine you're taking a bath in it.
Mm.
Like literally you're soaking
You're
in it.
bathing in the good.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
like it.
So I actually took one day after this podcast, or actually before this podcast, when I learned about this concept, I like set my highest intention to take in the good on this one day. So I started paying extra attention and soaking in all the little good moments. So I made a list that I shared with him that I also want to share on this, just so that you can get your wheels turning for how this actually looks like in everyday life. So first thing I did when I woke up was I took the dog for a walk, and I did an about face. I was heading back to my house, and the sun just blasted me in the face. And I just, instead of saying, oh, that feels good, I really, really soaked it in. I let the sun completely envelop me. I bathed in it, and it felt so good. Then later, after the gym, I took a cold shower. And instead of just brushing past the fact that I had just done something hard that I said I wanted to do and I kept a promise to myself, instead of brushing past that, I really took 10 seconds to acknowledge the fact that, like, good job, Mike. Like I said, good job. You just did something really hard and you feel amazing from it.
Yeah.
And I really soaked in that good feeling. Then I was holding the door for somebody as I was heading into the office, and they turned around and they said, thank you. Like really genuinely. It wasn't just like a thanks. It was like a real eye contact. Thank you. And I said, what a beautiful moment that was, of me being kind, of offering that gift, and them saying thank you and really acknowledging it. I soaked it in. And slowly but surely, these little tiny moments are starting to really build my mood up. They're really starting to compound. Then I walked to my car after work, and I realized I had not paid the meter. So I should be having a ticket on my windshield, but there was no ticket. The old me would have just got in my car and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's it. That would have been my reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. This time I was like, wow, thank you, God, so much. That you just saved me so much pain from paying this ticket. But not only that, we're in a good flow today. We're in a good flow. I just acknowledged it as like a really positive thing. And I felt fucking amazing.
You really fired and wired together some positive neurons in your brain there.
I'm going to keep doing it. I'm
Yeah.
going to keep doing it.
I
So
like it.
the call to action for today is to go through your day with this very, very simple mindfulness practice of taking in the good. There will be
Take 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, and sit with the good stuff that comes your way today. It might not feel like a big thing today, but over time, like we always talk about, those little daily habits really compound and you will rewire your brain for happiness.
Yeah, and one last thing, as high achievers, we're always wanting the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. We live with this arrival fallacy. This really helps me to not wait until the end of my life to feel good.
Yeah.
It allows me to feel good in the journey, as corny as that sounds. It's a very practical exercise to live that advice of enjoy the journey. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there to end with.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Stay tuned for that interview coming out this Saturday. Love you.
Peace.